to remember that. So what happens if you put sustainability into the heart of the business? Well, in my experience, 4 things happen very quickly. First of all, it did drive once we got it started, and I won't pretend it was easy. You had to lean against the rock. You had to actually say, look, we're going to go to this place and there is no alternative. But once you got the rock moving, what happened? It changed behavior. Right? There is no magic bullet, but all the little small changes that we put together added up eventually to a large sum of money. And that was really, really important. It did get behavioural change. And it created a good team spirit in the business, which was really, really good at a time when the business was pulling itself out of a very difficult decade and at a time when we were facing the uncertainties of the economic decline that we've just experienced. More importantly, it produced big savings in other areas too, and this generated a further hunger for more savings. And what we therefore got was scepticism at the beginning, few people doing good things, few more people doing good things, the savings that accrued from that, and then you got yourself from a vicious cycle into a virtuous circle. The second thing that came about was that actually sustainability now sits alongside performance as a measure in Marks and Spencer. And that was quite hard to implement. But now it doesn't matter whether you're on the board of Marks and Spencer, whether you're a buyer in Marks & Spencer, whether you're a truck driver in Marks & Spencer, or a store manager in Marks & Spencer, or whatever else, everybody has part of their remuneration dictated by how well or not Plan A is being implemented. Thirdly, your suppliers benefit from your learnings, extending the knowledge across the business by opening a free, open-to-all website, which basically said everybody can put the information and the knowledge that they had learned, put it in a free and open website, so that if you are a underwear manufacturer in Sri Lanka looking to see how you can actually improve your water usage, reduce your water usage, you can actually see what's being done by Ranjit Singh and his team at their factory who produce chickens for Marks & Spencer in Norfolk. And that can happen instantly, just like that. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait to see something. It just happens instantly, and it's been a fantastic pickup on that one. And the fourth thing, of course, is, and very interesting for us, and I'm sure for your businesses too, and other examples that I have read about, it accelerates innovation. It's forcing a business to think differently and find new and more efficient ways of doing things, and of course, at the same time, actually explore new markets, new products and new opportunities. And I'll give you a practical example of that in M&S. First of all, in 2008, M&S launched what it called the Oxfam Clothing Exchange. And it was a very simple mechanic whereby anyone donating M&S label clothing to an Oxfam shop got 5% off voucher and spent the money back into the store again. But the most important thing is it raised money for Oxfam. It meant that those clothes that probably would then go into recycling, would go into landfill, went into recycling, and more than 5 million garments have been saved from going into landfill in the first year alone. So it is a win-win that you can do. Another thing that they did was to launch an energy scheme in cooperation with an energy supplier, where we actually said to customers that we will show you ways of being more efficient. And we went from no customers in 2008 to 400,000 customers in a 6-month period. So it demonstrates people want to do it. They just want to know how to get into it. Is it a con? Isn't it a con? Will it deliver? Won't it deliver? And actually then show me how to do it without spending. And that's exactly how it works. So it does do these things. And having been so encouraged by making the progress that M&S made between 2007 and 2010, the company then last year, just before I left, said, well, by 2015, setting itself another 5-year target. It wants to set itself a target of being the most sustainable retailer in the world by 2015. Now, do I think that's achievable? I think it's a heck of a hard call. Do I think it's right to set the target? Absolutely, because unless you set the target, unless you plant the flag, unless you really strain every sinew in the business, you're never going to know how far that you could get. I know, therefore, as I look around this room, that each of you, of course, are as knowledgeable as I, probably more knowledgeable than I, about the issues and challenges of sustainability, about the needs to shape your businesses for long term. And we all know, of course, that our businesses, whatever business we're in, are going to have to be run very differently as we go into the future. No business leader, it's one of the subjects I was talking about this morning as we go into the future, is going to be able to run the business on the sort of old-fashioned mantra that the business of business is business. You, I say you because I'm coming to the end of my career, although I hope to be usefully involved in something as I go forward, but you will need to have your finger on every pulse. You need to have your finger on every trend. You need to have your finger on every demographic. You need to understand all the new technologies that are coming through. And you need to understand, most importantly, which of these issues matter and which of these issues don't matter. We are all going to have to network more. No one organisation will have the intellectual capacity, the physical assets, or the financial firepower to become truly sustainable in their own right. And I believe that the businesses that will prosper are the ones that will create these partnerships. within their own sectors, indeed with competitors. And it's absolutely true to say that when I was at M&S, and now that I have left, they are still doing it. Unless you are cooperating with NGOs, unless you're cooperating with other large companies who've got specific knowledge in specific areas, you are not going to succeed. In M&S, they worked with the World Wildlife Fund, they worked with Oxfam, they worked with Forum for the Future to make sure that they were on the right track and testing all the time the strategies for sustainability. And this, therefore, will allow all companies and Marks & Spencer to innovate faster, to respond to this accelerating sustainability crunch, turning the risk that I talked about at the very beginning into commercial opportunity and allowing us, you, those businesses, and particularly important now in the UK as we're trying to be internationally competitive, to be ahead of the wave. So you can ask, therefore, this question. Can a business afford not to be? Can a long-term business be a sustainable business? And I think I've just proved that with what Marks & Spencer's done. But I think the more important question to ask is, can it afford not to be? And the answer, of course, is absolutely unequivocal. We have to change, not a little, but we have to change radically. We have to change now and not later, because we know time is against us. I just talked about 2020 and the fact that that is only 11 years ago. If there's only one message I leave you today, of course, is that we cannot go on as we are, and it's people like you at the very forefront, at the leading edge, the businesses who are making the difference now, who will actually be the people who are the beacon to follow you tomorrow. So it's a huge challenge, but it's a journey that we have to start, and it's one that we can't afford to falter on. So before we move on to the awards, I'd just like to say that I have been really impressed by some of the entrants that I've seen, the entries that we've had for this competition, these awards today. The quality is extremely high. I'm sure as we go forward, the quality will get higher, the bar will always get higher, but that's exactly the importance of awards like this, that if you win 10 years ago, it's going to be harder to win 5 years ago. It should be harder to win today, and even harder for those people who want to win next year to beat the high standard that's been set today. So I'd just like to congratulate everybody who's been part of this. I'd like to say well done to the sponsors, and I really wish you well on your journey, because it's a journey, as I say, you can't afford to fail on. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Stuart. Great to see the level of ambition that M&S took on, and the fact that they've met that in financial terms in reality. Very